We're a couple days away from the actual Italian Grand Prix weekend, Monza, the Temple of Speed. And I want to give you the biggest headlines going into this weekend. What are the biggest things to look out for and what has been talked about for this week? I want to try and make this a series on Wednesday, right before my big upgrades video tomorrow, to actually cover the headlines, the drama, the news that we have going into the Grand Prix and what's to be expected of it. So firstly, let's cover the weather because that has been probably the biggest drama we've had all year. And guess what? We finally might actually have a change-up here in Monza. And funny enough, the change-up is actually having a pretty dry week. Now, they're trying to speculate some rain maybe coming in before FP3 and qualifying, but it won't affect the track, so I don't really understand the speculation of this. But the chance right now on Sunday is 0%. So we should actually have a completely dry race, which I'm kind of fond to see. I would like to see how teams perform in practice on fully dry conditions for the whole entire practice in comparison to what we had just now last time, and see pure performance of every team in straight line and how fast they are with the low downforce setup. So should be a pretty dry week. Next thing he's talking about Perez, and I just made a video talking about the whole entire different car situation. So if you want to go check that out, this is practically addressing what he is saying. He's saying that the adopted driving style to the RB19 is not to his liking. And as people were talking about, I saw some people in the comments saying that driving style and the whole oversteer, understeer is driver preference. Yes, to a degree it is, but the way that the car is actually set up could be like more favorited towards one driver, and the RB19 is favorited to be an oversteery car because it is front-ended. Now, if it's a little bit more rear-oriented, then yes, you could have the car be more understeer and not lose as much performance, but it still loses the performance, and that's kind of what Perez explains. That's exactly what I talked about too. Guy's still a good driver, don't get me wrong, but he isn't Max Verstappen level, and we've been known that. So, but he talks about yet again, and he said this last season too, that the actual driving style of the car is different to what it was last year. Again, they went away from him, so he's using that kind of as like a backfire to himself, but hopefully it brings him back confidence knowing that he can still pick up a lot. And then also another video that I made I want to cover as well. It's the Aston Martin rework, what they're calling the bow tie winglet on Zandvoort, the failure of it and so on. So an actual different version of this is coming in the next couple of Grand Prix to address the situation with the whole entire, how they're able to actually still make a pit stop very fast without breaking that little winglet. Well, I said this before, they're gonna actually probably screw it in instead of having it the way that they had it on the bottom part of it. They're gonna screw it in. They're gonna modify the jack that actually picks the car up so they're able to actually keep that wing on but also do effective pit stops. Aston has been very fast in pit stops this season. They've actually been very effective. Last year, they were nowhere near in pit stops and they were probably like 6th or 7th. This year, they're a solid 3rd. The only teams ahead are Red Bull and Ferrari. Now, you would think Mercedes is close, but believe it or not, they're not. So, Aston Martin is 3rd. They're doing a great job, but this innovation is awesome. If you want it in full detail, it is also in another video that I made, actually on Saturday. So, it was a little bit into last week going into the race weekend, but it is an innovation that I think people will copy. I fully believe this is something that people will really get on about. And then here is some news on the whole entire Daniel Riccardo recovery update. So supposedly, we're saying that he's going to miss 2 races. The 2 races being Monza and Singapore. Now, this really stinks to hear. I really want him back by Singapore, but let's be realistic here. Singapore is a track that is the most physical track on the grid. First of all, the heat, like how exhausted drivers are after the whole entire weekend, it's pretty crazy. If you guys remember Lance, when he broke both his wrists, and he was driving the car, he was constantly getting off the car, getting off the wheel and just kind of like putting his hands up. You could tell that it was hurting him, like it wasn't feeling great. So for Daniel Riccardo to step up, needing to turn the wheel he's gonna be making a lot of 90-degree turns here in Singapore. Now, depending on what wrist it is, I don't actually know. I mean, looking at the picture, it was his left wrist. So with his left wrist, I guess he could pull less pressure if he's right-handed. He could use more of his right hand and just kind of use his left one as like a real push. Still, it's looking very slim that he'll be back by Singapore. The most realistic answer is Japan and maybe even Qatar, which I really hope it's not Qatar. I hope he can come in by Japan, because then he's still got Japan, he's got Qatar, he's got Brazil, he's got Las Vegas, and he still has Abu Dhabi. So he still has a chance there to show himself. It's not enough time, but I think him coming back in Singapore would be the best outcome. Hopefully that actually happens. And another funny detail to add is that Verstappen finally gets his F1 trophy replaced with Norris being there. It's funny actually watching these guys work together. You can tell that they're just joking around. Like, I mean, the guy just worked however long on it in the video, and Lando Norris goes up, and they're just joking around over the whole entire thing.
Yeah, for sure. Fantastic. It's in one piece.
What is it going to look like?
Yeah, you be careful. You see, it's in one piece.
I can just hold this for you.
So, I would like to give again. Also, it's yours.
Thank you.
Don't let me touch it.
Yeah, Lando's not allowed to touch it.
I get it. It's a serious situation. I'm glad that they were actually able to take care of it, and Verstappen got his trophy, and Norris was actually acting a little bit better about it and was there in person and said a lot of good things to the guy. So that is nice to hear, because Lando was coming off a little douchey for it, but that's just the Norris personality. I like that. I think it's funny. I get the personality type that he has, and I think a lot of people kind of go to the point where they're like, oh, this guy's such an asshole and so on. I really don't think that. I think the guy is actually a great guy. He just has a very sarcastic personality that people should be picking up on more, definitely. I also want to talk about the Ferrari livery. I have my complaints about this livery. I think it's good looking in some aspects. I mean, this is the F123 model from the game, but this is how it's going to look like on the car, so they're going to have that different side pod design. But please, for the love of God, Ferrari, on your actual special Grand Prix, I get they did it for Le Mans, add some more yellow, make the car genuinely look different. Nobody's really going to be seeing this in the race. Yeah, they changed the numbers in the back, they added a little yellow stripe. Oh, black is also part of the livery, even though it's been part of the livery the whole entire season. So it's not really that much of a change. To me, this is disappointing. I love the helmets that Carlos and Leclerc have, though. I think they look, especially Carlos's, looks beautiful. But the actual livery itself and the big prize that we're watching for the whole season, I mean, we're watching it from Monza, does not look great. I just wish it was more. I'm always itching for more. I wish the whole livery, keep the carbon fiber bits exactly as they are, just make it yellow. If it was just purely yellow, maybe add some red stripes through it, just in a couple of parts, maybe on the front nose. That'd be kind of cool. But I want a yellow Ferrari livery. When you think about Ferrari, you obviously think of red, but I mean, yellow is another very prominent color that they have, and I think that would look amazing on a Formula One car. When's been the last time we've seen a yellow livery? 2020 with the Renault? I miss yellow liveries. It looks beautiful, and I think it would look great on the Ferrari. Oh, and their race suits, I already had in the community post. They look like they're about to take my McChicken order. Not a very great race suit, but I mean, it's a change, so I guess I'll command it, because I always like change. Last thing that I wanted to get into, and I want to give my thoughts and discussion on this, is so the whole entire expected and the kind of rumored Lewis Hamilton contract. So with this contract, somebody actually released an article. Well, apparently it was a draft of an article that was getting prepared for Lewis Hamilton's contract situation. And the whole entire thing was, oh, he has a 2-year deal that's already agreed upon. They already have an agreed upon salary when this is happening, so and so, so and so. So this was released by, I think it was Race Fans. They released this article probably knowingly already knowing that Lewis Hamilton has a 2-year deal and the expected salary, but they released it as a draft. Maybe Mercedes was not ready yet to actually announce it, because we still don't have any confirmation of Lewis Hamilton signing that contract with Mercedes. Now, I think we all know in the back of our heads that Lewis will be signing with Mercedes, just about how much money and how long. I guess 2 years is now the deal that they're sticking with. And the actual expected agreed salary is around $50 million a year. So kind of something that Ferrari offered to him. That's probably why he didn't want to go to Ferrari. But regardless of that fact, it's kind of interesting that they were able to just pick up on this quickly. They probably told already before from Mercedes, hey, don't release this yet. We'll let you know when. So this is kind of our quote-unquote confirmation of what's happening. I feel like every single time Lewis has a contract, it's always some big controversy around it and when it will be signed. What is the agreements? What is this? He's going to Mercedes. Long story short, I don't see why we keep covering this, but at the same time, I can also see why people want to know if Lewis Hamilton's getting a big contract or not. Hopefully some actually ambassadorship into the team. That would be sick. But that is it for the most important headlines that we have for this weekend. I hope you guys like this, and I hope I can make this a complete series for you guys. If you stay to the end of the video, please like and subscribe. That would mean the world for me, and peace.